All right, welcome kings and queens. So let's talk love and marriage Huntsville. But before we do, set your notifications because I have a live panel on Tuesday and Lewis Whitlow will be in the building. That's right. Lewis Whitlow from Love and Marriage Huntsville will be joining the panel. As always, I appreciate all of your support and I'm going to need the palace to represent in the chat. Make sure y'all pull up and show some love to the panel. Now let's jump into Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is going to be somewhat of a deep one, so grab a seat and make yourselves comfortable. Overall, in my opinion, it was a very positive episode. Very positive and very real. There were some moments that it was hard for me to watch because real life was happening and my emotions were plugged in. And I am sure some of yours were plugged in as well. In support of the blackout, I didn't watch the show until this morning, but overall, this was a decent episode and they focused on the real issues at hand. For those of you who are just tuning in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
This is not a drill. This is not a drill.
All right, I'm going to start with Tisha and Marsau. I'm going to start with them first. Now, as a reminder, I said this is going to be deep, so give yourselves permission to get uncomfortable. Otherwise, I may catch you off guard. So y'all know I like to keep it direct, keep it honest from my perspective. So let's jump in. Marsau and Tisha had a date night. I felt like it was a really good setup, very beautiful. It was nice to see him operate in this fashion. Marsau mentioned that contrary to popular opinion, he is a romantic. And sir, I'm sure you are. Because Africa is a very romantic continent. And I'm sure you were able to experience many romantic moments in your alone time there, sir. So yeah, I believe you are romantic. This scene is telling, in my opinion. I believe the comments from the viewers have made an impact on that perfect marriage. He shared that he's having the date night because he wants to do better and be better, and he feels like she deserves for him to show up better. However, her face said otherwise. I believe that she knows it's for the camera. Okay. And unfortunately, her face did not genuinely reflect agreement. This goes back to what Melody said in our one-on-one interview. She said, sometimes the cast members shoot scenes or come up with ideas because it looks good to us as viewers. And it's a way to, she didn't use the word manipulate, but I'm going to use that word. It's a way to subdue us, to bring us in, to reel us back in, but it's not their real life. It's an attempt to woo us because it looks good and it sounds good. But you know what? I really don't mean that. And unfortunately, she knows that. That was just a moment. Remember, Carlos says, make a moment. Unfortunately, that was a moment. And it didn't land on her heart because her face was not reflective of her believing what he was saying. Now, I told y'all, this is going to get uncomfortable. I hate to say this, but I don't think there's a deep love connection between this couple. I don't think there's a deep love connection. I think they've agreed to stay together and they are going to stay together, but it could be more out of familiarity opposed to love. It's like that old school arrangement when we'd see like our grandmas and grandpas. They're together, but it's more of a living arrangement. And there's little to no interaction in the home. And everybody's just basically operating on autopilot, which is why a lot of Black people, I mean, you can, not all, some, but some Black people would tell you, you know, two-parent home or even single-parent home. They didn't grow up seeing a lot of love exchanges, love transactions within the home. Okay. And I believe, based on my observation, based on what I've seen on the television, based on just my personal opinion, I think Letitia and Marsau may have fallen into this trend. Yeah. Marsau stated, I don't want you to think that I don't love you. But did you notice he never looked at her? Nor did he say, I don't want you to think I don't love you, because I do love you. And it hurts me when you don't feel that way. He never said that. Nor did she reflect her love for him. I got to be fair. So nor did he say that. He didn't say it, nor did she. She did not reflect her love for him and say, I love you too. Or, I love you and I appreciate you. But what she did say is, that's nice. Neither one of them validated the other one. And this is a very sad place to be in a marriage. And I am not sure if it's a result of either parties checking out emotionally, because sometimes, that's happened, or that happens, or if it's a result of laziness. However, if longevity is the goal, they really need to iron things out before those kids grow up and leave the house. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves waking up one day and the walls are going to be very quiet. And it's going to be just the two of them. And you're going to be left with the hard truth of having to dissolve the marriage or really receive extensive counseling. So it's going to be interesting to see how things really pan out for them over the next 5 years. But this scene gave me a better understanding of why both Letitia and Marsau tend to avoid talking about themselves and or their marriage. Because when you aren't ready to deal with change or truth, you avoid truth tellers. So they've avoided really filming together, just one-on-one. Go back. Rarely do we see them one-on-one. Most of their scenes are with other people, whether it's a group or someone else. And when people aren't ready to deal with the hardcore truth, even if the truth is, I don't like my wife, I don't want to be alone with my wife, they avoid that. Whether it's truth tellers, truthful situations, truthful energy. And I feel like they've done a really good job of avoiding situations, conversations, and or people that will force them to look at the truth of their situation. So instead, they look for feel-good moments. And when they're forced to do scenes outside of external parties, it's clear that this marriage is struggling. Now, keep in mind, I focus and I hone in on the behavioral and the psychological traits of the Black experience to bring a different sort of insight to this. It's clear to me that they can't even talk about themselves without shifting the focus to other people, other couples, Melody, Marital, and somehow they seem to be able to shift the conversation every time to someone else. In this situation, Marsau found a reason to throw Dr. Francis under the bus. So it's Dr. Francis's time. And now Dr. Francis is quote unquote biased. The truth of the matter is the marriage is fractured and Dr. Francis ripped the Band-Aid off Marsau. And now Marsau is internally, in my opinion, frustrated by Dr. Francis because he isn't able to out-philosophize Dr. Francis. See, he can out-talk, he can out-philosophize. And actually, I said it before, Mark and Marsau are extremely similar. They give you these wild talking points to send you off on a mental goose chase that you be like, what the hell he just say to me? You forget the real reason you even started that conversation, right? So he's not able to do that mentally to Dr. Francis. And as a result, he has to label Dr. Francis as being biased, which will now justify him. So now he's found a way to justify himself and or his argument. As a result, Dr. Francis becomes wrong and Marsau becomes right. So when the production crew make this couple focus on themselves and their own issues without attaching it, or they just force them to film together, you can see the phrase in the cracks. Tisha, you should have given him the homework to find a therapist. Because no matter what you come up with, you're going to be wrong. And he knows that. Your husband's not going to therapy, sweetheart, but he's sending you off on a wild mental goose chase to keep you going. And that's what narcissists do. You should have put the ball back in his park and say, why don't you find a therapist that you like? And then we'll go to that one. Okay. So this is very telling to me. It tells me, or it indicates to me, that their bond and their communication skills is not enough for them to be able to have a substantial connection on camera and a strong storyline in and of themselves. There is a huge disconnect between these two. And I'm inclined to wonder if they even spend any time together off camera. And if so, how much? There's been a lot of rumors swirling, allegedly. And none of us really know what's true versus what's not true, right? With these 20 women and all of that. However, I will say this, based on my observations, I believe there could be a strong possibility that Marsau could be in love with another woman based on his behaviors toward his wife. And they're very consistent behaviors from the Vegas. That man couldn't even say one good thing about her. It's very hard, you guys, to get him to really interact with her in a straight up way that a husband's supposed to exhibit this love for his wife. Because all this love he supposedly has, right? He said he's a romantic, but it's very hard for him to show that to his wife of 16 years. Okay. For the rest of the cast, particularly the women, we've got to stop beating the dead horse. Stop asking Melody to rekindle or go back into situations with said friends that have caused her discord. Y'all, you gotta stop. Melody spoke to Destiny at the Madonna event. Kimmy confirmed it. What else do you need, Destiny? But I do wonder if Kimmy would have said the same thing had Melody not been in the room. And the reason I say that, because Kimmy has a tendency to play both sides. So I'd like to know more background details regarding this alleged alliance that Mark has mentioned. I really want to know, if Melody were not there, would Kimmy have said, yes, she did speak to both you and me? So, Stormy, please stop. Don't try to put them together. Y'all got to respect the fact that Melody wants to move on. Destiny said the fact that she now knows that Melody didn't speak doesn't change a thing about how she feels. And Melody does not have to be cool with that. But here's another problem from a behavioral perspective. As little girls, we are taught to go along to get along. Little girls tend to move in packs. And when one of them has the audacity to think outside of the group mentality, she is at risk. As a little girl, right? She's at risk of being ostracized, picked on, or alienated. And one thing about Melody has demonstrated that she doesn't feel pressured to go along with the consensus of the group. And not many women or men can understand that. And as a result, they've been attempting to punish her over the course of how many years now? However, when Melody and I did our one-on-one interview, she shared background regarding how her mother instilled in her ability to be a free thinker. So a lot of that grooming, how her mother groomed her as a child to be okay with making her own decisions, has caused her to show up as a well-rounded adult.
Always gave me the opportunity to be able to express what I felt and why I felt that way. And sometimes it may be like, okay, but no, we're still doing this. Or it may be like, you know what, you got a good point. Okay, I can see that, you know. So I think that's the reason why I'm very vocal now, because I was never raised or taught not to be vocal.
So what we're seeing being played out over the course of this entire season is psychological peer pressure. All of them. Remember I said I was going to get a little bit deep in this one. All of them are attempting to beat Melody back into her place psychologically. They want to exhaust Melody back into a place where they feel she belongs. From a behavioral perspective, Melody came off the shelf. Let me paint a visual for you. Have you ever walked into a grocery store and you saw things perfectly aligned, and then there's one can of green beans that's out of place? So to them, Melody is out of place when she goes against the group by deciding and or thinking for herself. Not only does she do it, but she doesn't change her mind. And it's called conditioning. They want to condition her back into place. And here's the thing about conditioning. They're not even doing it on purpose. Subconsciously, they're not even aware of what they are doing, including Stormy. Stormy conditioned herself to walk in there with a gift because it's the right thing to do. So that's the story she's told herself, right? So she keeps trying and trying with Destiny, even though Destiny keeps shitting on her time and time again. She keeps trying. And we can't be mad at them. Under no condition would it be good for Melody to embrace and or rekindle the friendship with Destiny. Destiny still had things. She still has things that she should be working on. Melody attempting to be friends with Destiny again would take away from what Melody has going on in her life. That friendship would be a full-blown distraction. A lot of times we are friends with people that we should not be friends with based on where they are in life. But guess what? Because you've been doing it, you do it. You're not happy. They weigh you down. They drain your energy, but yet you stay. And it's not that they're bad people. Sometimes they just have too many issues and we find ourselves overpouring into them so that they feel good for the moment. And when we do that, the result is you create a deficit on your own mental well-being. It's like going to the bank and constantly making withdrawals and not making enough deposits to sustain the account at a healthy balance. Melody has given more than enough to Destiny. Even Destiny has said it time and time again. I wasn't her friend. I was Martel's friend, so I'm going to stick by Martel. Then baby, go ahead and stick by Martel and leave Melody to hell alone. Martel has said, you're his friend. You better pick him every time. Baby, go over there back with Martel and leave Melody alone. Destiny was not in a good place to recognize this was actually a real friendship. And as a result, she needs to feel this loss so that she moves differently moving forward. As women, we've all been conditioned to overcompensate in one way or the other. And that works against us because we often stay too long, whether it's a job, a friendship, relationships, we stay too damn long. Okay? So you've got to get better as women at prioritizing what's best for you. And we often tend to live for others, placing ourselves last and giving them the best of what we got, only to come up shorthanded and you get your feelings hurt in the long run. It's like that song, Anita Baker, giving you the best that I got. No, we're not doing that. I'm going to give me the best that I got. So anywho, we've got to get to a point where we are now reframing what we say to little girls. So instead of saying, be nice to her, be nice to him, what we should be saying is be nice until being nice is no longer an option. And then you remove yourself from that situation. Because we tell them to be nice, but we don't tell them what to do when shit goes wrong. Then what? They continue to be nice. They continue to stay. And then you look at them when they become grown women and say, well, obviously she likes being mistreated because she should have left a long time ago. You didn't teach her how to leave. But let me get off my soapbox. So there's a part in this conversation where Letitia calls out Destiny. And she said, your face was a reflection of your inner turmoil. But she didn't use that word. I'm using that word. She just said your face was a reflection of what you were feeling. And Destiny told her, but I didn't explode. Then Letitia said, you didn't have to. And Destiny said, you're welcome. And that's what I find very interesting about Destiny. She expects gratitude and a round of applause for shit she should not be doing. Girl, we're not showing you no gratitude for not exploding. because that's something you're not supposed to be doing as a grown woman anyway. Sit the hell down. And by the way, Destiny, you're out of your league. You really are with this group of women. The scene between Destiny and Melody, it almost made me cry towards the end when they did the B-roll and they went back and showed you like snippets of their friendship. Destiny really misstepped in this friendship. Unfortunately, she lost a good friend. And I wish she would have handled things differently. I think she understands it now. But she needed this loss. She needed this loss because sometimes it takes a loss to learn your lesson. It's a very expensive lesson, but it's one she'll never forget. So Destiny invited Melody to her photo shoot. And I found that at first I was like, that's nice. But then there was a little bit of shade because the producer asked her, how do you feel about Melody showing up? And she claims, I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about it. Then why in the hell you invite her? Okay? Make it make sense. And yes, you were giving Big Bird. Yes, you were, very much so. And them feathers were just falling off all over the place, child. But anywho, quick question for y'all. Is this the same location where Marital shot his photo scene? The reason I ask is because that same bathtub is there. You remember when he was laying down in the bathtub and asked Destiny to rub like oil on him? So is this like the same location? Overall, this photo scene, it wasn't giving what it was supposed to. For reality star, girl, any girl, any woman could put on a Big Bird dress and go take a photo. That's something that we do every day. So it really wasn't giving reality persona. And maybe it's because Destiny, her coin, can't produce the level of whatever status, celebrity, whatever she's trying to produce, but it just wasn't giving. I don't think Destiny has found the right styles to complement her body. I don't like the fact that Destiny's still showing up in her scenes, begging for folks to do something for her. Oh, baby, you have been overcome with the spirit of begging. From posting her song to asking Stormy for supplies. Let it go. I do not want you to show up begging. I want you to be a self-sufficient woman. You know, in the scene, they were talking, and I feel like Destiny wanted to drag Melody in mess so bad. Melody had to continually nudge her along to get to a more centered place so that they can move forward. And this can be extremely exhausting in conversations and relationships when folks keep talking about the past. And I believe that Destiny prefers to stay on the side of victim. Some people are really addicted to pain, and I'm going to leave that there. So I'm not for this rekindling. I'm not for them going back. It's unhealthy. Destiny takes no ownership. And I've said it. She's not on Melody's level. She could have been, but she messed up that friendship. Overall, a good episode. I want to leave you all on a positive. If you're tuned in, listen to me carefully. If you're tuned in, treat your people right. When you got folks that are good to you, it's a gift. People don't, as you can see, some crazy shit in this world. But when people are genuinely good to you, they're showing up for you consistently, treat it as such. Honor your solid friendships and show up as your best selves. And with that being said, enjoy your Sunday. I will see you all on Tuesday for the live panel at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.